Are you diving into Swift programming and wondering about the best way to implement polling? You're not alone. Today, we're going to explore the proper way to do polling in Swift, specifically in Swift 3. I totally get it. Transitioning to a new programming language can be challenging, especially when you're used to different methods. Polling can be tricky, and it's important to get it right to avoid performance issues. Let's take a look at a specific question from a user. They shared their experience with polling in Swift 3, mentioning that they have a loop that calls a web service every 100 seconds. They want to know if this is the correct approach. Sound familiar? Let's break it down. So what's the issue with polling in this way? While it may seem to work, using a sleep function in a loop can block your thread, which is not ideal for performance. Let's explore better alternatives. Stay tuned. At the end of this video, I'll share a more efficient way to handle polling in Swift that will keep your app responsive. To properly implement polling in Swift, the user should avoid using a sleep function within a loop. Instead, we can use a timer to schedule polling at regular intervals. Next, the user can create a timer that fires every 100 seconds. This will call the polling function without blocking the main thread. Additionally, the user should ensure to invalidate the timer when it is no longer needed. This prevents memory leaks and unnecessary network calls. Finally, the user should consider handling the response from the polling function. This allows for better management of the data received from the server. Fun fact, the first polling methods in programming were often done with manual refresh buttons. We've come a long way since then, and now we have timers to make our lives easier. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach suggests using a timer instead of a sleep function for polling. This method utilizes a scheduled timer that repeats every 100 seconds to perform the desired action. Let's check out another perspective from a different user. An alternative approach for polling in Swift is to use a timer. This user suggests declaring a timer variable outside of your function. You can set it to fire every 2 seconds, calling a method to handle the polling logic. In the timer method, you can increment a run count and stop the timer after a certain number of executions. Alternatively, you can create the timer using a block that executes your polling logic. This method provides a more efficient way to handle polling without blocking the main thread, making it a recommended alternative. Here's a pro tip. Always ensure that your polling intervals are reasonable. Too frequent polling can lead to performance issues and unnecessary server load. And there you have it. By using a timer instead of a sleep function, you can keep your Swift app responsive while polling. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more programming tips and tricks.